had a very good meeting with the party leaders where we set out the economic context within which budgetary decisions will be made, and I went through the various taxation issues where we have decisions to make over the next 2 weeks, and Minister Donoghue took the leaders through all of the various expenditure areas, and obviously there are spending pressures in some areas, particularly in the Department of Health, and those have to be managed in a responsible and a sustainable way. We are now moving towards the business end of the budget preparation, and it will be a budget that focuses on our core priorities, which are helping people with the cost of living pressures that are there, dealing with the ongoing housing challenge. We saw further evidence yesterday with the CSO numbers in terms of population growth, which I think we're all experiencing on the ground, in terms of access to public services and access to reasonably priced accommodation. So we're now working towards those final decisions. In relation to the protest today, a lot of additional investment has gone into early years services in recent years. That has been widely acknowledged by stakeholders. I would have negotiated those investments with Minister O'Gorman, and it has resulted in real improvements for workers in this sector with better pay and better career pathways, and it has resulted in very significant reductions in cost for parents. But of course we recognise that the provision of the service has to be sustainable for providers as well. And the only way of addressing this is through engagement, and I know Minister O'Gorman will be making the case in the budget negotiations for additional investment, and I would just encourage dialogue and for communication to be kept open so that these issues can be worked through and ultimately resolved in the interests of parents, children, staff and the providers.
A number of people in arrears with their energy costs at the minute. Are there any plans to help with the bills coming up in October, because obviously that might be unimpacted by the budget? And
Well, the next announcements that we make in relation to energy supports and cost of living measures generally will be in the budget, which is now just 2 weeks away, and we do have significant decisions facing us. We have a low rate of VAT applied on household gas and electricity bills, and obviously last year we had a combination of universal measures and targeted measures to help people with the energy bills that they're facing. Thankfully we are beginning to see reductions now in the charges being applied to household bills and business energy bills, but there is much more to do on that front. So we'll be considering all of the issues, but the next announcements will be on budget day.
And will you delay the increase on the fuel excise, do you think?
So as I've indicated already, that is a matter that will now be considered in the context of the budget. We reduced the excise in March of last year and agreed a phased restoration, and the final phase is due at the end of October. But we are of course closely monitoring market conditions. We have seen the wholesale cost of a barrel of oil go up significantly, and we have seen that work its way through, along with other input costs, to a much increased price at the pumps for motorists. So we are conscious of that, we are monitoring that very closely, and in 2 weeks' time we'll make a final decision in relation to the future of excise duty in Ireland.
So just sorry, in regard to the health overspend, are you concerned at the scale of it, and whether that is a handbrake or a constraint on other measures you may have been planning otherwise?
Well, we acknowledge that there are pressures in terms of service delivery. We do have an ageing population. There is certainly an issue following COVID-19 in terms of late presentations, and the Minister of Health will set out to Cabinet his perspective and his concerns in relation to some of the challenges in that area. But obviously overruns in one large area of government expenditure can result in pressure being placed in other areas of government expenditure. It is important overall that we maintain budgetary discipline, that when we set out a budget at the beginning of a year, that except for exceptional circumstances, that we stay within that budget. There will always be reasons and circumstances where that's not possible, but there has been a pattern of overspending in health for a significant number of years now, and I know that Minister Donoghue and Minister Donnelly and their teams are working very closely together to get a handle on it, because it can impact on other areas and it can impact on other budgetary decisions that we face in the next 2 weeks. So from my perspective as Minister for Finance, I will want to know what is the overall position, the outlook in terms of health expenditure across the current year, because it does have an impact on what we can do later this year by means of supports for people and what we can do overall in budget for 2024.
Minister, there is going to be an indefinite strike next week for health and community workers. Do you envisage perhaps any pay rises in that sector? And also finally, landlords, we're hearing, will also possibly receive some tax cuts in the upcoming budget.
Well, first of all, to say we genuinely do acknowledge the immense contribution of all of the workers in the community and voluntary sector. Many of them are providing frontline services to service users, and we don't want to see any interruption to those vital services that they provide. There have been some pay increases across different strands of that wide sector, and there have been offers of further pay increases as well. So what I would call for is for engagement and dialogue. We have well established industrial relations channels now open to workers and indeed to employers to deal with disputes, and that's what I would call on all those involved to engage in the various processes we have and to make progress so that there isn't any interruption to the service for those who avail of the services being provided by these Section 39 organisations. In relation to the rental sector, there are many asks being made of myself and Minister Donoghue in both taxation and expenditure. No decisions have yet been made at this point, and we'll be setting all of that out in budget day.